Hey everybody, welcome back to A Million Little Podcast, and this is the first official episode of Season 2. We had what I would consider an unofficial episode. I mean, it was official in the sense that you could hear it, it still went online, it still exists, but it wasn't talking about an episode. Anyway, I'm Kevin, and I'm here with Jaimie.
We are officially back on our bullshit.
Pulling a real Theo, being back on the bullshit we've been doing, and we are...
ready to party!
Yep. Episode 1 of Season 2, and Dave Miller is not here.
And we have sound effects now.
We have sound effects now, so that's a big improvement going into Season 2. If you listen to one of the other family of podcasts, maybe you know that we have a sound effect machine now.
Yeah, check out Sex in the City, you guys. You'll like it.
Yeah, if you listen to me and my friend John Daly talk about Sex in the City, you've heard the technical improvements we've made over Season 1 of this, but we have a lot of fun listeners on this. And Jaimie, where can people find us online at this podcast, at A Million Little Podcast?
This one, we are at A Million Podcast on Twitter, and we are at A Million Little Podcast on Instagram.
Instagram lets you have more letters than Twitter does. In your name, even.
Yeah.
In, the handle.
Yeah.
Twitter should let you have as much as you want in the handle.
If
what does that matter?
They're gonna up the characters. Come on, man.
Seriously.
It's a free-for-all now.
It is.
What the fuck? I'm gonna make Fiona Apple's When the Pond title my lyrics. Why is that the first long thing I could think of?
Fiona Apple song?
No, it's the title of her album. It's When the Pond, but then it goes on and it's 33 words.
Oh, it's a really long one.
It's a really long one.
That's good. On my album, the track that does the best also has the longest title. So sometimes long is good. It has several commas in it, I think. We are at so this is we're kicking off the second season, and I mentioned the Twitter where you can find us on Twitter, where you can find us on Instagram, and they'll be much more active starting now because the show exists again.
Yeah.
So Jaimie, some people were hollering at us as you were live tweeting. We'll pull back the curtain. Jaimie was live tweeting this when the show was airing on Thursday while I was across the country in Seattle. Hence the delay.
So if you hated it, that was my fault.
Yep.
Sorry. We got some people liking some stuff, and just today, just as we were starting up, we had Michelle at Beach and Burnett.
Yeah, she's a friend.
She's a friend
of shows.
Asked, will episode 1 cast be out soon? And I replied, yes, we are in fact back on our bullshit. As I said, we're recording, so we're getting there. And then Bree Hall said that a friend of hers is going to see Lumineers. She said, then I jokingly thought they'd see Eddie in the Red Ferns.
Ooh,
of course.
what
a get. Touring with them. And then she remembered Eddie has never toured ever, thanks to us, A Million Podcasts.
And that's so true. He hasn't.
It's true. It's just a fact. He gets on the bus, and then I don't know, I feel like he just kind of tumbles out a trap door in the back of the bus and just stays in the parking lot until
until they're done,
until he's needed again at home, which is 5 minutes later, or the bus just never leaves the parking lot.
Eddie gets on a tour bus and they go to 7-Eleven and he comes home and he's like, God, the road is tough.
Do you think everyone got together and wanted to make Eddie feel like he went on tour? So they get on the bus.
Like a Make-A-Wish?
Yeah, and then the driver makes vroom vroom sounds, and somebody has a fake tree that they just run past the window to make it look like
just one guy's
moving.
running laps around it with a single palm tree.
And then Eddie's just wow, guys, being on the road is cool, huh? And they're like, yeah, Eddie.
Yeah. It's really crazy. You've played all over this one highway in Connecticut. But yeah, it is nice that people know what's up.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, making a difference, I think. We are. So this. I guess I'll start this by reading the recap that ABC had of this episode.
That will be helpful. I forgot how to do this.
Yeah. So basically, in this episode, season 2, episode 1, it's called "Coming Home." Its original air date just now. You know that happened,
right? And by the way, guys, they abandoned the no caps. There's caps now in the titles. I don't like it.
Oh, that's a stylist. Yeah, everything was lowercase last year.
Yeah.
Is that a fucking network note? Yeah, this is an explicit podcast.
It probably is.
We'll do it live. Fucking thing.
Yep. God, that's weird. It's just who cares?
I liked it. I love a no caps moment.
So here's the recap. When Delilah goes into labor, Eddie feels compelled to tell Katherine the truth about being the baby's father.
Bad move.
Gary and Maggie struggle with living together post-cancer. Rome and Regina continue to be at odds about having a baby of their own. I think that's a pretty solid recap. I think that is basically what we're dealing with there.
Yeah, our job is done. We can just talk about Danny for the rest of this thing.
If Jaimie had her druthers. Yeah, for sure.
Danny holding a baby.
Yeah, you really like that at the end. That was nice. And I should say at the end, I mean, we're starting at the end, I guess, there with most of Danny's storyline.
Oh, you know she had the baby. Of course, Danny held the baby, and he fed it. And he said on Twitter that was actually the first bottle that actual live baby got.
In life?
In life.
Whoa. Damn.
I mean, it probably had, a boob, but that was its first bottle.
Lucky baby.
Lucky baby.
In several ways. And I wanted to note that was not a stunt baby.
Yeah, that's a real-ass baby.
I would like to see a stunt baby.
And if it was CGI, it was looking real good.
Yeah. No, that was good. That was I feel like that was a nice baby hang for Danny. So we usually note what the music is in the episode, and typically we've noted that last season. I listened to an episode of ours from last season to be like, who are we? What do we do here? And that's the thing we do. It's been a while.
Please tell me.
When did the season end? Do we know? That's easy research I could have done.
Spring?
Yeah, that sounds right. Great. Life is a blur. Time is a flat circle.
Dude, when they were doing the season recap at the top, which, I mean, it was short, I was like, oh boy, I definitely forgot some stuff.
Yeah.
I am a bad recapper. They mentioned Mitch. I was like, who the fuck is Mitch again?
Mitch is the new dad.
Yeah, I figured it out eventually.
Okay.
At first, I was pretty lost.
As I was saying that was not really me telling you. That was me confirming for myself. But the only music notes in this one, usually we've noted that we're in our mid-30s, and they really pander to not pander, but they accurately hit it because that's the level of people in this show. But they just mentioned that some mom was obsessed with Sheryl Crow.
That's, I mean, my two takeaways from the episode are Danny holding a baby, and Augie's mom is obsessed with Sheryl Crow.
Yeah, okay. And it's an interesting obsession. It's also Sheryl Crow's famous, but how many people do you know who are just obsessed with Sheryl Crow?
One.
You know one. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There you go.
My friend Michelle just saw her in concert recently.
That's right. That's a good call. Great.
Yeah, she's big into it.
Yeah. So I would say one.
But that's not, not a high percentage of all the people I know.
And at the end of the episode, they played "The Story" by Brandi Carlile. Was the really the only pop song that made its way into this one, as far as I could tell.
New stuff.
So how do you want to start, Jaimie? You want to start? You want to go character by character, plot point?
Sure, we can. Yeah, we can kind of do what we normally do, is sort of one through line, usually pairs of characters. Okay. What do you want to?
It opens with Eddie, Katherine, Delilah, so I think we can kind of do those three together.
Yes, it opens with the scene.
Eddie wants to do those three together. What do you think? Hello. Here's the thing: if you cheated on me with someone else, Jaimie and I are married. If you're just tuning in this season. So Eddie
It wouldn't
cheated.
be Eddie, I can tell you that right now.
He cheated on Katherine with Delilah, but he wants to go back. Do you think he would want to, everyone get together on that?
He wouldn't know what to do.
It's not enough, man.
It would end up just being Katherine and Delilah, and he'd just be watching, be like, you guys, let me know if you need any.
I'm a rock star. All right, so
I'm on tour.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Ralph Wiggum.
Ralph Wiggum ass. Yeah.
It starts with this scene, which if you follow the show on Instagram, or even if you don't, they find you. They know what you're watching. They had it on an Instagram story. You could watch the first scene.
And we did talk about that in
the preview.
In the season 2 preview episode last week. Yeah.
So it's that. They're sitting outside, and Eddie's like, so it's my baby. And Katherine's like, wow. Not a fan of that.
Yeah. Wow, this also sucks, Eddie. Man, every day. Eddie, I feel like every time you talk to me, shit sucks. I feel like it's...
Hey, why don't you shut your little mouth and we'll just make out from now on. Never talk to me again.
We only bone on the table and no talking otherwise.
Literally the only time they're happy.
Yeah.
He's either drunk or banging their friend or admitting it's his baby.
It really is. It's a series of, I mean, I don't know. I guess I sympathize with him to the fact that, like, he got over this big hurdle. Feel like cheating on your wife for, like, a long time with someone else is like that's a hurdle to get past.
Yeah, not great.
But then he's like, I guess we're pretty cool now. He's like, oh, shit. Also, babied her up. And then she's like, this is bad. And then, so...
Why?
He just keeps... The next reveal is going to be crazy. Oh, I actually murdered John. Did I not tell you that? I murdered our friend John Dixon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I shoved him right off of that balcony.
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
He was playing the Killers, who treated me very poorly on my fake tour, and so I just gave him a shove.
Can I come home, please?
Yeah, so anyway, that he makes that reveal to Katherine, and she's like, go get your stupid baby, and then he goes.
Yes, so he goes to watch Katherine, boy, I don't know who's who anymore, Delilah give birth.
Sure.
Which she does, Katherine gets in a pretty good dig. She's like, no, you gotta be there for that baby. Like you weren't there for Theo, for us. Mm-hmm. And it's like, hoo. Yeah. Eddie, I think she's mad about the baby that you're having with someone else. She's taking it real hard for some reason. So he runs off and he runs in and holds... they skip... There's some... It was a little confusing.
Time-wise, flashback, flash forward.
They did within the episode flashbacks, which it's like made a little more sense because at the beginning it's like it seemed like Delilah had that baby in like 1 second, but
right, third baby, as they said, it can come anytime.
Oh, all right, good to know. Mm-hmm. Just for life.
Yeah,
a third baby could just jump out.
Third baby can just surprise you, like it could just
even
like
if
a
it's
Halloween
not yours.
prank. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he goes and he takes over because oh man, I forgot everyone's name.
Who are we talking about here?
Rome's lady.
Rome's lady is Gina. She is Regina, Gina for short.
Yes.
Yeah.
I even like her. She was fun.
I know. Yeah. She's a vampire lady.
She's a vampire lady. She's technically a werewolf. Spoiler. But
get out. I don't. Yes.
Yeah, so she's basically hanging out with Delilah and trying to get her through the labor, and then Eddie tags in, and Delilah's upset because she's like, no, nobody knows, and then he's basically like, everybody figured it out. Everybody knows that it's my baby, and he's like, the kids don't know, they're not here, and she's like, all right, good.
How'd you feel about Gina figuring it out like that?
Like where she literally looked at him and then like knew? I don't know.
I mean, bit much for me.
It's a bit much.
It's fine.
Because at first, literally, I thought, I was like, oh, did I forget the point last season where she knew that? Was that a thing she knew and I forgot? And then, like, I think I literally saw, like, DJ Nash tweeted or something. It was like, she didn't know. She didn't know until she looked at him like, oh. Wow.
It is nice that DJ Nash, the creator of the show, interacts with fans on Twitter.
He's so into it. It's great.
Very nice and answers people's questions on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Also, I guess it's tough when you get focus. You basically get your focus group after it's all done.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because it's like he probably at this point is like, I guess people had thoughts about that. You know.
Yes, it's nice to engage, but also at a certain point, it's just like it's made. It is what it is.
Yep, this is it.
If you have a problem with it, I guess don't watch.
Suck my D, Jay Nash. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just do what we do and make a little podcast and you can listen to it or not.
Yep.
We're mostly not adding him.
Yeah.
So they
all their friends know and basically Gary reveals that he knows that it's Eddie's kid in front of in front of
the boys.
Like in front of Rome. And Rome later on it sort of feels like how much am I out of the loop on here, because that, and then also he didn't know about John's vasectomy that Gary was the one to drive him to.
Gary knew it wasn't John's kid because he drove him to a vasectomy. I was like, whoa, that's...
He did have you ever revealed a friend's secret, like a friend's high-level secret in front of another friend? I don't think I have.
I don't think I have.
Because that's a bold move, but also it's a pretty tight group at this point, so I get it. And it's also like, it's not revealing the affair. Everyone knows that, so it's like, that's not...
Yeah.
It does make me be like, how not careful were they being about this affair?
Oh, yeah.
To knock it up?
Oh, my God, yeah. When she must have known that he had Did she know he had a vasectomy?
That her husband did?
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe that's a thing that will be revealed later on.
Because otherwise, I guess even if she did know, maybe she would. But she would have known, if she knew, she would have known that Gary took him
there. Because she would have probably taken him there if they were on good terms when he got it.
Shit.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So he was like, I got to cut this off. No more babies with this lady.
Damn Gina. JK, damn Delilah.
Damn Delilah. Damn Delilah.
If I lay here. Oh, yeah.
Dave's not here.
Yeah, that was yeah. So that sucks. No, I don't think I have. I would feel really awful about it. I'm pretty good at keeping friend secrets.
Yeah, I think you certainly are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then he tags in and he's holding her hand there. And it's interesting to me because he is pretty clear about that he at least says he wants to be back with Katherine full time. But then he's there, holding the hand. I think it's sort of the least you can do if you knock a lady up, to be there for for the for the birth of the child.
A handhold and a you can do this is pretty much bare minimum.
Seems like it. Nettie's a bare minimum kind of guy, it seems. So it's sort of like, does he want to be with Delilah, or is he just being with Katherine because he feels like, I'm supposed to?
Yeah.
At this point,
I don't know, and I don't think Eddie knows.
Yeah, Eddie doesn't know shit. He wants people to tell him what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, he's yeah, exactly. He wants people to tell him what to do.
Yeah.
He was asking Katherine. We talked about that. Just tell me what to do. And it's like, why don't you figure it out, you friggin' adult?
Mm-hmm. And I think. Go ahead.
I mean, he's at the hospital, and he gets a call that Katherine wants him to come home, and he is very excited about that, and he rushes away right away. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. He at least thinks, I think, that he wants to be with Katherine, but he's still got a crush on Delilah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. When you have a crush on the woman you impregnated a year ago, that's pretty fun. Yeah, I thought Theo was lying on that phone call at first.
Oh, I did too.
I thought he was just making it up.
Yeah.
And then you see Katherine basically with a bag. It's like,
after the bullshit he pulled with trying to make a big cookie, this kid
Theo is back on his bullshit immediately. He scares his mom and she breaks a plate when she's crying. He wants to eat a giant ball of dough. I mean, who doesn't, I guess.
I know you said I could only have one cookie, but you didn't say how big the cookie could be.
A big piece of shit. Big fat
Yeah. So, yeah. And then, yes, I did think it was a big cookie situation where he's like, Dad, come home.
It's a big cookie situation.
Big cookie situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it turns out she did want him to come home because she was on her way out the door. She just needed him to babysit and left before Eddie got home.
That seemed weird.
And I was confused about that for a second. I think I looked down to tweet something and looked up and she was leaving. And I was like, oh, was there a quick Eddie came home thing or his car pulled up? And it's like, nah. She's like, watch TV for a half hour. Peace.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
That was
wowzers.
Yeah, wowzers indeed. I thought that was very strange on her part for sure. Whereas I wrote down, I was like, is she moving out? Like, what is happening here? Theo, you can't let Theo watch the house by himself. He'll he wouldn't even he would fuck up things in a non-traditional way. It's not like he would accidentally set fire to something and come home and be like, I sold the house. He'd be like, Theo,
how?
I was messing around on Zillow. I had a sugar high from my 80-pound cookie I just downed. I'm going through a lot.
Sorry,
I'm
Mom.
Theo. I do like that they make the kids have distinctly different personalities in this. I feel like kids are poorly written in a lot of things.
This is true.
Sometimes, at this show's worst, there are times where I feel like everyone's acting, the acting and writing can feel like a improv scene that's just getting started. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Sometimes,
everybody's just all energy and no content.
every once in a while. But I think one thing that is done very well is the kids now is Theo is just he must just be a weird kid. And I say that as, this is not a pejorative. We like that. That's great.
I love weirdos, yeah.
Yeah,
and
we are weirdos.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Everyone we know is weirdos for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing where he was freaking out about feeding the ducks because they'll can't feed them the bread because they'll get too fat or they'll explode or whatever the thing. And I was like, yeah. I would be concerned about that.
Totally. And
that's some bullshit I can appreciate.
Yeah. And Danny didn't have a ton to do this episode, but I like that. But he has a very distinct personality. Obviously, Jaimie's a huge Danny mark. We all love Danny here. He has good hair. I wrote that down.
He does have good hair.
Danny, which I also respect because, like, I had Danny hair when I was a kid.
I was going to say, it is your style of hair, so you can really...
Where you're just like a child who's like a businessman in the 50s. You know, It's like, that's what I did.
Put a little suit on him and send him off to the madman office.
He could pull it off. As we said, he also has a voice where it kind of sounds like he smokes, which is fun, too.
I know. He's always just getting over a cold. Oh, my God.
It's going to be so great.
I hope so.
Yeah.
He gets all the chicks or dudes. I don't know what Danny's deal is in real life.
Sure.
And then saves the planet.
Dudes in the show, great. At least. Yeah.
Yes, that would be great. Yeah, he was. He was real good. I was like, he goes by himself to the gift shop in the hospital to get a last minute gift for the baby, and he just has like real smooth. Small talk with like the lady in the shop. I'm like, how is Danny better at talking to people in a store than he's a social genius. He's just like, she's like, oh, that's the perfect gift. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna be a big brother, not as big as I'd hoped. Could you get that down for me?
Damn,
Danny. Damn, Danny.
Hold it.
Damn, Daniel. Damn, Daniel.
I had no.
Oh my God, it's perfect.
I know. I forgot I had that soundbite. And man, that is accidentally perfect.
You're going to be hearing that a lot. I apologize.
Yeah,
everybody.
I'm sure Danny himself has heard that. Well, that's a weird thing with like kids. That's like a 3-year-old, 4-year-old meme.
I know.
Basically,
like he basically wasn't born when he wasn't conscious when that happened.
Danny was like 6 when Vine died. So it's like what is this? But yeah. Anyway, so back to the Eddie Delilah Katherine storyline. Basically. Delilah, the first thing we hear from Delilah as the episode begins is she's yelling while she's in labor, and I just wrote down how she sounds is how I feel about anytime Eddie talks. Basically, she's just like, ah!
Shut up!
Yeah. Also, as I thought Theo was lying, which he wasn't, his mom was literally like, call your dad, the Uber's here, and like fucking left. Enjoy your cookies. But I wrote that like and this is something you tweeted about from at A Million Podcast on Twitter, is that like Eddie and Katherine are lying to Theo all the time.
Yes, everything they say to him is a lie all the time. They are gaslighting Theo 24/7.
Yes.
And said everyone else stars in A Million Little Things. Theo lives in The Truman Show.
Yes, exactly. But Eddie's like Eddie's bad for a liar. For someone who lies so much of his life.
Yeah,
you know,
that's why he keeps getting caught.
Yeah, he just sucks at lying.
Not cut out for it, bro. I mean, I'm not either, but that's, why I've never lied.
There you go. Very good. I can't tell the difference between my lies and my truths. But, hey, we're all doing our best or some... apparent facsimile of it. So yeah, he tells Theo, "Where's your mom? She's arguing a very big case. Why don't you tell him about depositions? What? This is not like she's just gonna ghost to the courtroom. It's a weird it's a weird
this has never
line.
happened before. I feel like Theo would feel like that's weird. It's like she's never had to leave for days at a time before, probably. And then he's like the good news is, but I think she's gonna win. And it's like, and then like Theo smiles. It's like a kid doesn't give a shit if you win your court case.
Yeah,
fucking come home, mom.
Seriously,
like that's not the deal. That wouldn't make a kid smile. You say the good news is, I think she's gonna come home with Skittles. Like,
ooh, good.
Okay.
Could you come home with one giant cookie and feed me like I'm a duck that's gonna blow up?
Yes. See.
I get it. I could lie to a child.
Let's parent Theo together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Theo, everything's a lie. We're going to set you straight.
Yeah, it's all good. And then, basically... back to the Delilah. When thing is when they basically reveal stuff. She very much has a weight lifted when she says when all the friends know that the baby is Eddie's. Like she feels good once that's out. Which I guess when you're living like a lie in a major way. It sounds like I'm starting a lame rap. When you're living a lie in a major way. But I'd imagine
feeling crappy all day.
Yep, there you go. We got it.
Very good.
The only mid to late 30s married white couple who freestyle raps together. But she also said, I thought something that was kind of poignant, where she said to Gina, she said, "Thank you for not asking." Because Gina said, because Delilah said, Gina said that you never lied to me. And then she said, "Thank you for not asking." That's a real friend level thing when you can tell your friend has shit and then you actively don't ask about it.
Right. You wait till they're ready.
Yep, that was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good friend line right there.
Mm-hmm. And then and then I guess Catherine's hiding at her mom's crazy looking bedroom.
Oh yeah. Well, I did feel like that was a good cinematic thing. It's like, as you might have guessed, as they like tease super duper briefly when she talked on the phone with her mom, and her mom seems sort of like keyed up about her, doing well. And it's like is just covered in like ribbons and trophies. So of course she's like a high achieving person. And I'm sure she was pressured to do all the things and win all the little kid awards.
Oh, that's true.
And she's like looking in the mirror and she's surrounded just like completely in the frame with all of her prizes. And of course her life has fallen apart, and it's kind of like, I'm sure and you could be like, oh, she feels like a failure because she's used to achieving and she couldn't make like her marriage work, et cetera, et cetera.
No, you can't achieve your life to being good.
Yeah. So it's like a combination of just like, I failed. I'm used to being a winner. Also just like, look where all this has gotten me. Look where all this trying to achieve in life. And it's like, and here
Good
I
call,
am.
yeah.
I'm at my friggin' mom's house and I abandoned my child in front of the TV, and my wiener husband has to take care of him now. And who knows how that's going. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, it was all of that. Just like a little scene in front of the mirror with all her ribbons and trophies. I thought it was very good.
That's a good call. And I kind of missed that part of it. I was just like, oh, this seems, it's just like, oh man, it's like, this is certainly her kid's room, but her room from when she was a kid.
Yeah.
But she's a lawyer and she's done everything right, and that doesn't matter.
Yeah, she's very smart and very accomplished, and everything's gone to shit. And that's just how it goes sometimes.
Anything else on the Eddie, Delilah, Katherine specific trio?
I think that's pretty well. The only thing, it's very much at the very end. At some point Eddie says to Katherine before, or I think when he's on the phone or leaving her a message, I think he says, he says a bunch of stuff, and he says, "I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving to myself that I'm worthy of being your husband." Is like, and also like you. It's just like, you're going to spend it proving to yourself. Like,
you didn't have to prove shit to yourself.
Eddie,
you just decide.
Damn it. Eddie, you fucked it up again.
Yeah. God.
Yeah. And then,
Look what you did, you little jerk.
oh, that's going to be Eddie's theme music.
Yep.
And then at the very end, this is fun. They're about to take a big selfie together, all the friends with the baby. And then real quick, right before they take the selfie, Delilah's like, what was it that you were going to tell me? And Eddie's just like, Katherine left. And they have to take the selfie. And Delilah makes a pretty hilarious face.
A bad face, which I also wrote.
Sacre bleu.
It sure does. French Delilah's back.
I forgot to say in the recap, do you remember when Delilah wasn't French for a minute?
Yeah, at the beginning of the season. But even when
she kept getting Frenchier, and then eventually they were like, fuck it, she's French.
Even when she wasn't French, she was French to us. We said, like, she's supposed to be French, I think, in the pilot.
I think it was the second or third episode. I was like, I feel like she's French.
Right, yeah.
And then eventually she was French.
Well, that's another thing fans of Tweet as. They love when you do French Delilah. So.
Merci.
There you go. Do
you want to meet my baby?
Baby, yep.
I cannot make the milk for this one.
My tit is broken.
I don't know what the problem is.
Also, I guess that's a totally different. That's one of the other, it's tied in. It's a Delilah plot point, I guess. But the real B word of a lactation coach.
Yeah.
Is there must be a nice lactation coach, but that strikes me as someone who is an asshole as a job.
I feel like, well, they did this same thing on The Office, I think, when Jim and Pam I feel like Pam was having trouble getting the kid. Well, I guess it was different because it was like a dude and Jim wasn't happy about the dude being there. But she was having like trouble with it.
Right.
And it's like, we know people who've like, it just like hasn't worked out for. It's like a super, and it's like knowing our friends now like who've had babies. It's something like, what is it? I want to say that's like a third of.
It's a high percentage.
It's a huge percentage of women who just like can't breastfeed for whatever friggin' reason.
Also, it's a fucking lottery. It doesn't mean anything about you.
Yes.
It's just literally flipping a coin and then whatever.
It's like if you can do that tongue, like some people can roll their tongue,
put their
like a hot dog bun, and sometimes can't. Or in the U, yeah. And some people can't. That's literally just it.
Yeah, I can't.
Either them boobs work or they don't. And then like luckily
in that way.
Guess what? Great news. We have bottles and they're fine.
Yeah,
it's like
everything's fine.
Everyone's going to be okay. And it's like, but
were you a bottle kid or a boob kid?
I believe I was a boob kid.
Yeah, I was a boob kid.
That's why we're so smart and funny.
That's what, boob it up. And you might do a podcast
for free.
Right.
We're doing great.
Everything's fine.
And, they really, I don't think they had to go quite so over the top with how mean the lactation coach was. Like, you could have achieved that with her being like subtly like disappointed in Delilah, and everybody still would have been mad. But it was obviously, it's like they were working up to Maggie giving her a major smackdown. And tell you what, A Million Little Things Twitter was here for it.
Were they?
Yes.
They were really into that.
Yeah.
It's good. It's
Maggie.
It's wrestling. So they played up the heel, and then the baby face came in and made the save.
That's right. Maggie was having a bad day. She was not having it.
James Rode knows what I'm talking about when I'm making heel babyface things. The actor who plays Gary, he likes wrestling.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's up? Come to a show with us.
He's done stuff at WWE even. He's into it.
Nice.
But,
Introduce me to Gold Dust.
Yeah. There's a... so the lactation coach was dismissive to Danny, and then was...
Oh, yeah, she was mean to Danny.
Yeah.
He tried to help, and she's like, that's the worst thing you can give a baby. And then Danny was very sad until he got to feed that baby.
The first one to meet...
Many minutes later, and I was so upset with her.
The first one to feed the baby. IRL.
Yeah.
Danny's
doing just fine. Yeah, she was super mean to everybody.
Yeah,
and
just a real B word.
And I was, at least in the room, the thing that they did do a good job of is like making everything tense in a real way, where it's like the lactation coach is not being great and the friends are like, whoa, let's all settle down. And then the kids are trying to help, but they don't know how to help. And then, they're getting yelled at and it's just like chaos. Danny walks in and sees his mom's boob.
That sucks.
That does suck.
Yeah, that really sucks.
Kevin's very upset.
Don't see your mom's boobs.
Don't do that.
No.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, that does suck. But who doesn't suck? That baby. It was a problem regarding the boob. So yeah, that's most of that. I did write down also that Rome, as a director, supposedly, you should notice the mom was making a bad face in that and take a second selfie.
Yes. That's right.
This is why we have digital cameras. You don't have to be surprised like that. You can take a quick peek and then be like, oh, let's get one more. This is the first selfie with the group of friends with the baby.
Or if you notice people aren't smiling, you take like 100 pictures in a row and then you like make a fart noise or something so people laugh and you'll have a good one.
Mix
in
it
there
up.
somewhere.
Then you go find it in post.
Yes, exactly. You find it in post. That's what I do.
So let's, unless you have anything else, let's move on to one of the other pairs.
One of the other.
Gary, Maggie, or Rome and Gina?
Oh, hold on. I just want, real quick, Maggie. What part of shut your face didn't you understand? I just wanted to get it in there because I'm sure everybody wants to hear it.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to say. And what part do you think she didn't understand?
I mean,
the shut, I guess.
Probably the face.
The shut on the face. Yeah, those are the
She
keys.
just closed her eyes and she's like, no,
Yeah.
not that part.
She just holds her nose. It's like, I mean, that is technically part of your face.
All right, you technically did it, but still go away. So yeah, I mean, I guess we could do Maggie and Gary.
Yeah, Maggie and Gary. They start. They're driving away from the cemetery. They had just done a cemetery visit.
Yes, either that or they were just referencing it.
Okay.
Because, yeah, Gary was talking. Well, he was talking about what he said to John. So
Right.
either she was standing back and giving him time, or it was earlier.
Right,
But-
and he was kind of he was talking about moving on. And it's like, it does make me feel like we're probably not going to see Ron Livingston much this season.
Yeah, I feel like I saw a promotional picture with like him in it, some like, really stylized photo of everybody. I was just like, what is he doing here? Bruh. But yeah, I'm sure he'll pop up at some point. But yeah, probably not as much. Kind of like Ashley. Where Ashley at? Probably not coming back.
Ashley
for a
should
while.
come back. Basically, what bummed me out a little bit is in this episode, and there wasn't a lot of it, but guest actor Chandler something Riggs. Yeah, they're a better research podcast than this. But the guy who played Carl Grimes in Walking Dead, so he's PJ.
Oh, yes.
So basically, I
Right.
was like,
PJ.
I think we're replacing the why did John kill himself mystery with this
Yeah,
mystery,
PJ
which is
back.
not as fun. It's just like, it's not as interesting because it's like we know already.
Right.
But I think they're filling those scenes in the
there's-
same way. Like the mystery scenes seem to be, we're swapping out. We've moved beyond Dixon, John's mystery in that way. And now it's going to be this kid figuring out who his dad is. And it's kind of like, well, we could sort of write that on our own, right? Like, he's going to eventually find out and... I don't know.
Right. I mean, that we could cover real super quick, too.
Sure,
Like
knock it out.
PJ is stealing stuff. He's in their house?
Yeah.
Is that?
He's
how
creeping.
the frick did he get in there?
I don't know.
That was, again, I looked down to tweet and looked back up. I was like, what? All right. I'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
And so he steals the photo book and he steals the Harvard sweatshirt that...
I didn't notice he stole Gary's, one they were talking about later. Okay.
Gary thought he misplaced the thing that John gave him, and it ends up PJ took it with the photo album. So he's looking through the photos. He sees pictures of John and his mom and all the stuff that we saw before.
Yeah.
And then and he sees the video. He watches the video. He had already seen that. And that's pretty much it
Yeah.
in this episode.
Yeah, we
He's
just see it's going somewhere.
He's talking to Maggie as a therapist. Maggie's his therapist. And yeah.
Yeah,
And then
it's weird that Maggie's his therapist. It's just like, and then he's describing someone, and it's not going to take much for Maggie to be like, oh, that's actually my friend that
I
we're
know.
talking about.
I was almost
It's weird.
expecting it to happen then, but it's
Yeah.
like, it'll happen at some point. She'll probably put it together. And then,
Yeah.
but then also in like the preview, he's talking to Rome and pointing at a picture of them. And
Yeah, a preview for next week, yes.
Yes, for next week. So that's pretty
All
much
right,
it.
so
He's
that's
creeping.
PJ. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then Gary and Maggie.
Oh, let me do Sophie. Sophie drives. Okay.
Sophie's a new driver. And they let her drive the baby home. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Guys.
It's not where I would start, but
I
yeah.
mean, okay. But
So, all right. So, Gary, Maggie. So basically, they're at the they're coming back, or just talking about the cemetery visit, and he said that John knows about her, except for the dirty stuff. Although maybe he knows about that too. So the question I wrote down was, "Do you think dead people can see you bone?" Mm-hmm. Well, that's too bad.
if they can see anything, I mean, it's not like, there's no V chip on.
Right. You don't. There's no like blocks on a room for what dead people can see.
I mean, maybe there are. That would be very cool of God or whomever
There's a
to be
certain-
like, you can't see the toilet
Yeah, that
or
would-
wherever anyone's bone.
That would be cool. Although, and this will be alienating to a certain percentage of our audience, but there is like a certain kind of Christian, and really basically every religion, a certain kind just believes that God cares a lot about how you fuck. It's like he's just a real perv watching you do stuff all the time and
Sure.
then judging you on it.
Right.
So I guess there's a certain kind of very religious person that thinks, oh yeah, dead people see you fuck. shock.
Yeah.
And Gary's
even if you know
playfully
that, you
teasing
can't think about it. You can't be performing for your entire deceased family
No, don't
every
do it.
time. This is too much pressure. You're not going to get anything done.
Nope, you're not going to do well. Next, so they go from there to... Oh, also, I thought it was notable that Gary did the VO at the beginning. And one of the sentences he said was, they hope love will be enough, which was kind of like, seemed like a thesis. But Gary was doing the VO for the intro to the second season, the recap.
Call.
And hoping love will be enough, I think, is one of the theses of this show, because it isn't always. I mean, in like a real way. Like,
yes.
That's not enough.
Nope, yeah, you're right. Eddie loves all kinds of people, and it's not working out with any of them.
Yeah, you can love too many people with your dong.
Yep.
And then Eddie would be like,
But what's wrong with being sexy?
you know what I mean? Yep.
It's a good drop. All right. Yeah. Oh, so Maggie finds out that Gary has tossed out her old cancer meds. He's doing some cleaning around the house in their guest room. And she is pissed. And she says mean things about the Bruins on her way out the door and leaves.
Yeah. Which I think is fine. I think it is weird to... I understand him being like, you don't need the medication anymore.
Yes.
But I don't know. I haven't thrown out any of your things ever, maybe.
No, it's crazy to throw out something medical from someone.
That too.
First of all, you're supposed to take the pills to a drop-off spot so it doesn't go into the water source.
Jamie's a real, she knows how to throw shit out.
I don't want to be drinking yo medicine.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Like, do that right, guys. CVS's have drop-offs. Just put it there. You're going anyway. Jeez. Yeah, but that's crazy. Like, you would have to, like...
Don't do that.
You might want the information on the bottle if you, like, go to a doctor's appointment. I need to remember what stuff I took, blah, blah, blah. That is absolutely nutty.
Yeah.
I would not... it's like, the most you would do is, like, make a pile somewhere and be like, you done with this?
Yeah,
I'll throw it
right.
out for you.
Mm-hmm. And even then, I think just going into... and maybe we're weird this way, but I just don't go into your stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't go into... If it's a box of your stuff, I'm not going into it to do anything to it.
Yeah. And I guess they're, like, moving, and maybe he was, like, moving stuff out of the room and, like, organizing.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I just found all these cancer meds, so I tossed them. It's
Right.
like... It's... but also, it's like the empty box was still there.
God, yeah, recycle that then. What do you... That is strange, yeah.
It's like you just left it there for her to be able to get mad at you about
Right.
it. But yes, I understand her being pissed. Absolutely. And then... What else? I feel like I didn't write down. I also watched this several days ago.
But there wasn't a time. I mean, basically the next things I have for them both, they basically go from that scene to, like, the revealing of the baby, the shut your face, the revealing, like,
Maggie,
Gary revealing
they
that's
have
the
most
baby,
of their
Maggie having to
moments
shut your face.
separately. Yeah, Maggie's shut your face, and Gary's talking to the boys and talking about the vasectomy and all that stuff.
And when Gary is talking to them, he says, he basically tells Eddie, don't regret any more of your life, is a thing he says before they convince Eddie to stop making excuses while he's at the hospital, but trying to not really be there. Eddie needs a lot of help to be even the faintest semblance of a man in any kind of way. And so he basically tells him, don't regret any more of your life. Another quote that I think you could stamp on a lot of this. I'm someone who's built out of regrets almost completely. That is how I'm structured psychologically and probably phically. Regrets
if you
instead
take
of
out
knees.
one of the regrets, I'll fall down like a Jenga.
Yeah, 100%. And part of the reason why she comes back later, right, about and talks about the pills and explains, she's like, not my finest moment today. Had a rough day.
Yeah, she apologizes and then says, like, this is, what was it, like, the same day, like, or it was like the 6th is when I threw out my pills, like, last year and I know because the 7th is when I found another lump.
Right. So it's sort of like not a superstitious, but something akin to that.
Right. Yeah. It was like, as soon as I throw out my pills, I get cancer again, so I'll never throw out my pills, and then hopefully that'll be fine.
I get it.
Yeah. Super get it. Super duper get it. But the pills are gone. So what are you going to do? And then we have her getting in the shower, witcho bald head, and, kind kind of dealing with stuff. And then Gary comes in, and then it is a both emotional and sensual shower scene with the two of them. Kinky. Looking at each other's cancer boobs.
Yeah, she
and
feels
it's real nice.
Yeah, it's very vulnerable and like, you know, good teammates affection. And I wrote at the buzzer, Gary fucks. That's one of the things about the show is that Gary fucks. That's one of the things we've noted is that Eddie doesn't tour and Danny's great and Gary fucks.
It's true.
And Gary at
got
the
it.
buzzer, literal like last scene,
Of
Gary
course.
fucks.
Of course he got it in. There we go. Good for him. Can't do it.
Yeah. And a scene that I enjoyed that was... But all the dudes, basically, when they went to pick up the crib...
Yeah, until just now, I completely forgot that happened. They stole a crib.
Yeah, they stole a crib that they paid for. Also, I wrote down that everyone that they come across on this show, in like retail or waiters or everyone's just like an asshole beyond belief. Like, whoever's writing these episodes just is having like, thinks... I mean, probably you might be the problem if everyone you meet in your day is an asshole. Maybe it's you. But it's just like... There was a waiter who was just like a crazy asshole last year towards the end that we talked about.
And just like intrusive, just very familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Just
like very
getting
cocky.
up in your life. Yeah.
And then obviously the lactation coach was one. And then the guy at this fucking crib store or whatever who's just like, maybe you should have gotten it 2 days ago. And then they flash back to...
It's like, friggin', can I speak with your manager?
Yeah. So,
you're mean. Get out of here.
Yeah, so they basically, the guys go to pick up the crib, and then there's this crib, they say, oh, you didn't pick it up in time, whatever, but there's, I guess, the floor model or whatever. So they walk out with it. And this is funny. I liked the first beat of it, I thought was genuinely funny, and then I was like, you guys can let it go now. Where, like, Rome was like, no, if I'm around, they're going to think we're stealing it. It was basically like a comment on he's the black friend, and if he's carrying it out. So that first one, I was like, that's very funny. Yeah. And then after that, I was like, all right, we got it, guys. Like that's good. But yeah, that was good. And also the fact is they did pay for that. So that's one of those things where if I was there, I absolutely would have done the same thing and been like, what are you going to do? You going to call the cops and tell them I took the thing I paid for? Do that. Here's my license plate. Have them track me down.
That's right.
100%.
I out of here.
Yeah. So yeah, they had that little kind of fun scene.
And Rome was eating ice cream. Funny.
Rome ate a bunch of ice cream in this episode. Yeah, they had several cutbacks to Rome eating ice cream.
Exactly. Let's see what we missing.
Oh, and then in that scene, too, basically they're like holding up the crib, and then Eddie's getting a call, and Gary has to go in there, and he compliments him on his dong.
We've got, armadillos in our trousers. I mean, it's really quite frightening.
He's like, he reaches his pocket. He's like, oh, what's happening? Congrats, Eddie.
Yeah, it's a sexy show. What are you going to do?
Yep. What's wrong with being sexy?
What's wrong with being sexy?
So, yeah. Any other Gary Maggies?
I think that's pretty much it.
All right, let's close it with Rome and Gina.
Rome and Gina. Rome still got that baby fever.
He really does.
He's in a hospital watching babies walk by and just like...
Ooga chaka.
Yeah, like in the Schmidt's Gay commercial, Adam Sandler and Chris Farley just like taking their sunglasses down, like, whoa.
Hello, babies.
Hello.
Yeah.
Give me some of those to love and raise.
Yeah. He's having some baby struggle.
Yes, and...
And I literally wrote down in my notes, eats a lot of ice cream this episode.
Yes. He was in charge of filming the birth and then editing the stuff. Like, guys, just don't mind.
And I was saying, when he's editing, you got to edit labor wearing headphones. You can't be just blasting that open in your apartment. Gina walks in and it's just Delilah screaming from his Avid, basically the editing equipment.
Headphones, bro.
Yeah, you got to wear headphones for that edit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. People are going to think weird shit's happening in your apartment. So he did that. And I mean, he doesn't, he and Gina don't talk that much, but enough for basically her to tell him again that she doesn't want a baby.
Yeah.
And then, cut to the end, they're getting ready in front of the mirror, and he says, I do want a baby, but I want you more. I want us more.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, we also find out that I think it's Gary tells him that all these friends are going to be very involved with Delilah's baby, and that you can take the lead on that, sort of like Carrie's giving him the Godfather title, sort of.
Right.
Being like, well,
Yes.
you can have this baby, some of it,
Yeah.
which is like nice and, also, but also not. The thing is, when he says, I want a baby, but I want us more, I think that's a lovely sentiment, and it could be true, and I think people often mean that shit when they say it, and I think it often isn't enough. I think it's with big things like that. Mm-hmm. It's like, baby or otherwise, there can be any number of things that could fill in for the baby here, when you can be with someone and be like, everything's great, but there's, if there's like a key thing that doesn't match up, back to the thesis is hoping that love is enough. It isn't always. And so that, to me... That's what I thought of seeing that. It was like, I want a baby, but I want us more. I don't know that's going to work.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe you. Although he does, at the end, when Delilah has the crazy face and the selfie, they're like giving the baby presents, and she opens up, and it's the Bruins hat that Rome had accidentally gotten for their baby, which didn't end up being a thing. So he's like giving it away, which is sort of like symbolic, like, all right, we won't need this because we ain't having a baby. But
that's true. Yeah, he's at least giving away that dream in that way now.
He's trying to put his mouth where his foot is. I forgot how that went.
Yep, that's all right. And then it's not really the main thing, but I mentioned earlier him feeling like left out of secrets with his friends. So he and Gary's like, you're right. We should talk about the big thing with you.
Yeah, and he points out that a year ago in the pilot, they were like talking about like, Gary, you were yelling at us that we don't talk more.
Right.
We need to talk more. And it's like, yeah, so talk to me, bro.
Yeah. And I think that's most of it.
They name the baby Charlotte after Delilah's mom.
Charlie Dixon is a rugby player, IRL.
Oh, yeah, Charlie. Gonna go by Charlie. And then did Delilah... I think Delilah said this to Eddie, which this is a Wiener quote, I think. She's like, whatever else we did, we brought a baby into this world. And I was like, well...
You can just do that.
Don't... Listen.
That's biology.
The baby's great. Everyone loves the baby. But, like, don't be like, retroactively, everything we did was fine.
Yes. Right.
Because babies. It's like, no, it still sucked.
Yeah.
Y'all. There can be nice side effects of crappy things that happen. Like,
yeah, I guess it's like you might as well be happy in the moment. But yeah, you're right. It's not it's not justifying retroactively like, maybe we're supposed to bone because this baby's here.
Yeah.
No, when you bone, babies happen. You're not special.
Right.
That's just how things work.
Yeah. It's not the worst sentiment. It just made me go like,
Yeah.
Like, if I was Katherine and I heard that, I'd be like, okay.
Oh, really?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know who also brought a baby into this world? Me and my goddamn husband.
Yep. And then in the next week preview, Jan from The Office leaves Maggie's dad.
Oh, yeah. Jan's back.
And then Maggie might be flirting, it looks like, at the bar.
She's at a bar. Someone suggests a drink. I feel like Maggie's not the cheating kind, but I guess we'll find out.
Right. I guess we didn't really address that. Basically, just the living together aspect of it, like Maggie and Gary are, they're living together. That's a big transition. What was the craziest thing when you moved in with me? Do you remember adjusting to anything, really? Do you remember any big... What was the biggest adjustment that you remember, if any?
I don't...
You don't have to have something.
No, I mean, I guess...
Because we moved in weird. You moved into my college house after you were in college for like a summer, and then you went to New York.
Yeah, we did like a halfy thing. Yeah, he was a year ahead of me in college, so I spent...
You're a year ahead of me.
Is that what I didn't say? Okay.
Yeah.
I've had 3/4 of a White Claw. I'm pretty wasted. Yes, I was ahead, so I did my internship. When I came back, you still had a semester left, so it's like, oh, it just makes sense. I'll just live in the college house with you, and then we'll all leave together for New York. And I feel like there was like a moment when I was just like moving my shit into your room, which was sort of just like, this is a thing. This is cool, right? Because I'm not normally a person who's just like, hi, where can I put this?
Right.
I'm moving in now. Can you just move your things? Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't like imposing on people. So I feel like I had like 1 second of just like,
is it okay to be
right?
It's not like a room you hadn't been in before or whatever, but yeah.
I'd hung out there before. I was pretty familiar with the place. I hung out in that house a lot. So it was oddly not weird.
Yeah.
Like not really an adjustment.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. And then we moved to New York, and then, we still had a roommate, so
yeah.
We never didn't have roommates.
Till till a few years ago. And then,
still works.
Still works.
Thank God.
All right. So that's it, right? Nothing else?
I think that is everything. I mean, the main thing at the end is that Katherine does not come back. I think you think for a second she does not.
Okay, yeah, that is a good thing to know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is
still
not back,
gone.
at least yet.
With her, Chung Mo, which
God bless
means
you.
mother-in-law in Korean.
That's fun.
We learned that's our Korean lesson for the day.
Chung Mo's that sounds more fun than saying mother-in-law.
Yeah.
What's up, Chung Mo? That's great.
Chung Mo!
Yeah.
Up top!
Meatloaf! Yeah.
Mom! Chung!
Yeah.
Mo! Yeah, I'm looking. I think
we're good.
we got it.
At A Million Little Podcast
what
on
part
Instagram.
Of shut your mouth, don't I understand?
at A Million Little Podcast on Instagram, at A Million Podcast on Twitter. Thank you for listening again. We, in theory, will have Dave Miller back with us. The normal third element of this show will be back. Fingers crossed, and we will be recording and releasing it as we typically will do. We record and release as soon as humanly possible. If they would send us this shit ahead of time, then we would really do that. But if you're new to I'm a stand-up comic, so I'm on tour a lot, and I was in Seattle this past weekend. But this week, we will be recording with Dave immediately after the show on Thursday, releasing it that night.
You're going to get so many shows this week. It's a big, giant cookie of podcasts.
Big, lumpy cookie, and Theo's going to eat us.
You're going to feel so bad after you finish it.
Your mom's going to leave, and she might not come back. Thanks for listening, everybody.
A million little bye.